What's up, everyone? I am Bobby Jarrell.
I'm Marthea.
And this is Nofilter. Alright, so we've been going for the last 2 weeks, but we are back. So before we get into the episode, you know, we've been going for the 2 weeks because you were working on, you had some work stuff to do, and then you were doing a stage play. So you finished with the stage play. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. We possibly have a third show coming. Okay. End of August, September. So feeling really good. I know you were able to kind of see some of it. Yeah. What did you think?
So I think overall I thought it was good. Like I think there were some actors that were probably new to stage. So like as an actor and being on stage, like I picked up on like the little things that people were doing. But other than that, I thought it was good. I thought you did a really good job.
Thank you. So, like, I was really nervous though.
Like I guess me knowing you, I picked up on the nervousness, but I think like other people probably didn't notice it because there was one thing that you kept doing. I don't know if you want to tell it on camera and put your
go ahead.
So like
critique me.
So like you kept doing this with your hair, like you kept like fixing your hair, but I feel like it was like a nervousness where like you just feel like you were doing something.
It was a nervousness, but also I'm gonna give y'all a little secret, right? So I didn't glue my wig down, and so I kept trying to make sure it wasn't like.
So I know we talked about like you said you wanted to do like some not acting classes, but like kind of work on some things. Next time, if that happens, let that be part of your character. Like if your wig gets messed up, like let it be part of who your character is. Like don't think that on stage I have to have my wig looking perfect. Like cause like if you think about it, that could actually fit with who your character is.
Okay.
Make sense?
Okay. I just was so caught on just oh my god, like don't let my wig fall off.
But if it would have fell off, like in the audience, I'd be like, dang, like her character really got some issues. Like what's going on in her world? Like that would have fit perfectly. Okay. So like when like you know just like with acting, you want to be able to take what's happening in that moment and don't try to hide it, but make it work for what's happening in the scene.
Okay.
So like a lot of times, like I think that's where actors kind of get lost in trying to. They don't want to mess up. They don't want things to go wrong. But it's like in reality, it happens. Right. Like if you were out in public and your wig really did come off.
Right. I mean, that's what happened. That's the reality of it. Exactly. You were in that moment. No, but you know that was like my 5th show, 5th play. And to be the lead in that role,
it's a lot.
You know, I just really wanted to give the director my all. I wanted the audience to be able to feel that character, and so it was a lot of nervousness. Yeah. But I hope that you know I was able to convey it. Yeah. Got a lot of good positive feedback from it, and so of course you know like I said. There is another show in the works, so yeah.
So it's gonna be the exact same show? Like, okay, cool. I know you said you were rehearsing for something else, or something else coming up, or is this what you were talking about?
No.
On Instagram, you said something about another show was coming up. Was this one?
It's this one. Yeah. So, also, guys, wish him a happy birthday.
Oh, yeah. As of today, when we're filming, today is my birthday. So when you guys be seeing it, it'll be what 2 days after my birthday. But hey, y'all can still wish me a happy birthday and send me some money in my Cash App.
Yeah,
Bobby Jarrell. But now, So like it's it's good. I'm happy that you. Because the first show that when we met, that was the first show that you had was ever doing, right?
Ever done. Yes.
Good.
So from seeing that to seeing now. Do you see the growth?
Honestly, I thought you did good in that character, but I think the difference between those two characters was like because that one you were like you had your own office and you like all together. In this character, you had to show like that a broken side. So I think it's like showing that challenge and that you're pushing yourself to do something different than what you normally do. Okay. So like that's good.
Thank you. All feedback is needed, and I know I've hit you a couple of times like, hey, I'm gonna need help. I want to work. I want to perfect my craft because I love. If I think when we did the first show, this one, I think that was when I realized like this is what I really love to do.
I love that.
And that's when I hear you and I was like, hey, I'm going to need some critiquing and some help.
But it's like, even with, I told you with, when we filmed the first 2 episodes for season 2 for Nofilter, I told you, it's like, I see like the way you approach the episodes was different from before. Because before it was like you kind of followed my lead, but like in those first 2, it's like you kind of took the lead, asking the questions and kind of leading it. So it's like, I saw the confidence. I saw that confidence exuding in the episodes, and I think like like I said, you did good in the show. Is like as you continue to step into that confidence, like it's just gonna continue to grow and grow. All right, so we're gonna take a quick little break, and we'll be right back.
So guys, welcome back. Before we get into this topic, I want you to subscribe.
Yes.
Make sure you comment down below.
Yes.
And just let us know what's on your mind, because this topic is shit that's on my mind.
Yes. Yes.
Shit that's on your mind.
Yeah, I got a lot of shit on my mind. I can tell you that right now.
Man.
All right, so
It's a venting session.
Yeah. So just bear with us on this one. So, okay, I recently posted on Facebook about an issue that I had with a supervisor. Like, try to make a long story short, I created plans for a client, and supervisor had to give me feedback on my behavior plan before it got submitted to insurance. Some of the feedback she gave me, I was like, okay, I can make these changes, not a problem. Some stuff I was like, no, I want it like this because this is what's working right now for my client. I've been working with this client for almost 2 years with this company, and I've been knowing this client for over a year, even before that. So like altogether, almost 3 years that I've known this particular client. So what I'm doing is creating an individualized behavior plan for my client. So she didn't agree with a few of the goals. She went in, deleted my goals. Even after I explained to her why I wanted these goals to be this way. She went in, deleted my goals, and then created her own goal, which I had told her why I didn't want the goal to be the way that she wanted it to be.
See, that's why I need a pen and a paper.
So look.
Because how can you even go into someone's, I don't know if it's a case or,
case. Okay.
How you can go into someone's plan and delete what I have in here and then put something that you want to put in here and you don't even know the characteristics. You don't know anything about my client.
This is the thing. If she was walking down the street right now and the client came up to her and slapped her in the face, she wouldn't even know who the client is. She's never met the client. She's never met the family. She's never talked to me about the client, but felt that it was okay for her to go in and delete what I was working on. And the thing that kind of upset me the most is like the fact that she didn't know the client, but then after we had a discussion about it, I was working with the client. After we initially reviewed, she initially reviewed the plan. And I told her how I didn't want to delete the goals because I thought that this was better for my client. The next, 2 days later, I'm working with the client and I'm working on these specific goals that I created. Go to put it in, the goal says look for me. So I log in on the computer because we use an app on the phone. So I'm logging on the computer and I'm like, let me look for this goal because I don't see it. It's deleted. She didn't tell me anything, nothing. She just took it upon herself to delete the goals.
The audacity.
Audacity. So, have you ever experienced anything like that? Because, I work with kids doing ABA, and we deal with a lot of insurance stuff. So, with CPS, how does your caseload work? Like, do you have somebody that's over you telling you what to do and how to do it, or or are you kind of free to do what you want to do? Well,
prior to right now, I had a different supervisor. I had a different team.
Okay.
And so I've been with the agency for 9 years.
Okay.
I'm very educated in this field.
Yeah.
I'm a family-based safety specialist. So when a family gets a case or whatever, I pretty much go in and stabilize the family.
Okay.
So whatever the abuse is, we get what perpetrator out of the home, or we give those families resources and services, and then we shut the cases down. So yes, I'm dealing with I guess upper management not really knowing how I work.
Okay.
and knowing that I am invested in my families, because I never want a family to come back into having to deal with the agency. So I'm assessing constantly and everything. So kind of similar situation. I had someone go into my case and say some things that I did not say.
Oh, okay.
And so that really, it really irritated me, because I have been working with this family. I have built a rapport with this family. And how can you sit here and say that what I'm doing, or pick apart what I'm doing, and just pretty much like make me not start the whole case over, but I have to go out and do different things.
Yeah.
And that just really irritates me. So I forgot what the question was.
It was on your mind. That shit that's on your mind. So I get it.
Get that out.
So with CPS, what is your undergrad degree in?
My undergrad is in interdisciplinary studies.
Okay.
With the certification in education. So I started off as a teacher.
Okay.
And then I came over into CPS.
So with like the supervisors, is there like a certain degree or schooling that they need for their job, or training that they need for their job, or is it just like on the job type training?
No, it is a lot of training.
Okay.
Especially now with us dealing with children without placement, and so we're having to learn how to give medication and things like that. But yes, it's a lot of training as far as de-escalation tactics, as far as motivational interviewing and things like that. So before you can even get a case, you have to go through training for about 3 or 6 months. I think January, February, March, April, May. I think I went through training like 4 months before I was actually able to be case assignable.
Okay. So like with us, like right now I'm a BC ABA, board certified assistant behavior analyst. For that degree, I needed a bachelor's degree and then coursework specific for BC ABA. For like I'm working towards getting my hours to take off the assistant. So to become a BCBA, you need a master's degree and then like so many supervision hours and then pass the board exam.
Okay.
So like, I'm already board certified with this exam also, with this certification. So the thing that I learned most while in my master's program is that there are a lot of unqualified supervisors in the world, because there are the people that were in my class, because we were a cohort, so we started the program together. It was 20 of us initially, and we all followed the same classes throughout, except for the summer programs. Like you could take 4 the first summer, or you could take 2. If you took 2, then you finish the next summer, take 2. Or like I did my 4, so I graduated in spring. Okay. To some of my classmates, they'll graduate in May. Okay. Like we took all the other classes together and stuff. So there were a lot of them, and I don't know if any of them are watching this. Love you guys. There were some of them that were brand new to the field. No experience at all. Like when we started the program in August of 2020, there were at least a handful of them that had never worked in the field of applied behavior analysis. But yet they're in a program to become a supervisor. So within 2 years, they will become a supervisor. And so I'm like, 2 years is enough time for people to learn and grow, but it's like you're actually learning all about the field in then 2 years. It's not like you work for 2 years and then say, okay, now I'm going to become a supervisor. You are in school starting from zilch, nothing. So in the next, like, hopefully everybody, because most of us graduated in May, and then the rest of them graduate in August. So like after August, like in the next couple of months, they will be eligible they've gotten the hours to sit for the exam and become a supervisor. Now, when you come to these companies don't say, oh, well, you're a brand new behavior analyst, so we're going to work with you for a couple of months before we let you be on your own. They say, You have the master's degree, you have the certification, you're qualified to be on your own and do the work.
Their checklist is checked off.
That's all that matters. As long as they got them letters behind their name, that's all that freaking matters. And so when I look at, like, I've been in the field since 2012. That's when I started doing ABA.
Okay.
And like there was I took like a couple of months off here and there, like with school and something. I just needed a break. So like I took a little time off here and there, but like for the most part, let's say 10 years that I've been in the field. And so like I work with adults and adolescents. I work with toddlers, 2 years old. I work with aggressive behavior. I work with high functioning individuals. So like I've worked pretty much across the spectrum. But there are some people that come in that only have experience with the younger kids, and that's all they know. Right. So when it comes to dealing with somebody that's older, that has like a different skill set and maybe a little bit higher functioning, they don't know how to do that.
Right.
So like we do assessments. So there's so many different assessments that you can do, but the assessments look at like the skill set. Like if it's a toddler, we're looking at, can they match colors, match shapes, match objects? Can they, when they call their name, will they look at you? Can they follow your finger and tracking and stuff like that? Then like as it gets old, as kids get older, we look at things like, can they dress themselves? Can they bathe themselves? Can they cook for themselves? All those skills that a typical individual would need. So like I was saying with the goal earlier that I had created, we would do a goal like a following instruction goal. And so like it'd be like, bring me your cup, bring me your tablet or something. That's 2 goals that I created for this specific client. So initially I had a goal, well, the analyst that created the plan created the goal where it was following 10 instructions. And so in order for me to score an instruction, they have to master it first. And once they master it, then I would put it on the graph. So for months, the kid was not mastering anything. So it looked like we weren't doing anything when it comes to following instruction because I couldn't score it until it was mastered. That makes sense to you?
Yeah, it makes totally sense.
I want to make sure that it makes sense.
No, it makes totally sense.
So I tell the analyst, the BCBA that was reviewing the program, the goals, that this was the initial goal. It was following instruction. It's cumulative record where I can only put it on the graph when it's mastered. So she was like, putting it, the 2 individual goals, where it's get your tablet, get your cup, can be combined into the one. And I'm like, no, because right now I can show data, I can show progress if it's an individual goal. So if we're using prompts to work on it, if I'm working on a positional prompt or something like that, or a gesture prompt, I can put that in my graph. And I say like right now he's able to master it at 80% with a positional prompt. Then I put in phase change line. So once I put that phase change line in, that means we're changing the prompt. So now we're going to show progress without the prompt or with a different prompt until he's able to master it independently. So I'm explaining this to her and she's still giving me like pushback. And I'm like, I understand what you're saying. But what I'm trying to get this person to understand is I've been working with this kid in this company for 2 years. When I first met this kid, the boy wouldn't even look at you. You call his name, he wouldn't even respond. You say come here, he wouldn't even acknowledge you at all. So I'm like, now we got a goal that says come here, he's able to come here. The first few times he did it, I almost wanted to cry because it took me over a year just to get to that point. But if you look at some of the graphs, it doesn't look like he's made the progress. So I'm like, I need what I see in front of me to be able to reflect on these graphs. And so for her, I'm gonna cut you off. Shit is on my mind. Shit is on my mind. So I'm like, for you to come in, and then you deleted a goal that was in progress. It wasn't like it was just sitting there waiting for us to start on it. We were literally working on the goal. Bro, when I went to that, because like we have an app that we use on our phone, which is fairly new. So I'm up and I'm trying to score the data, right? So like I know most of his programs by heart because I've been working with him for almost 2 years.
2 years.
So I'm up and I'm like running the program. I said, okay, let me put him on break. Let me grab this, put in this data real quick. I'm like, hold on. It should be here. Like I know I put it in. Let me go to the computer.
Where are you?
Like, let me go to the computer real quick. Let me look real quick.
Where is it?
Oh, she done deleted my damn goals. When I tell you I was hot, bruh, I was hot. Like I was hot.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't understand how some people get into positions, and I feel no, I'm gonna take that back. I'm not gonna take that back because I've had a similar issue with another company where I had the owner of the company tell me out of her mouth that the reason why a particular person got a particular position was because they didn't have anyone else that they felt could do the position. Not that this person was qualified.
Right.
It was because in the particular program, and you know, some people might be watching it. I ain't saying no names and nothing like that. But in the particular program, the kids were more aggressive. And so when we look at across the board, we need analysts who can be in this position. So it's like, oh, this analyst, she's a female, she's younger, she can't really handle these grown men. So it's like, oh, we have a man who's a big guy, let's put him in this position. And so when she told me this out of her mouth, and I'm like, okay, I got it.
They either do that or get somebody less qualified or that doesn't have the years experience to push their agenda.
And I don't even mind it if you don't have the years. If you have the knowledge to do it, I'm fine with that. If you have the knowledge. And by knowledge, I'm saying like actual hands-on experience. Like you don't have to be in the field 10 years. Like there are people that, you know, are like really smart, catch on to things, and excel real quickly. So really quickly. Yeah, something like that. So
really quick. Really quick.
I don't know. We can go with it. That's fine with me. I don't know. We're not English majors. So
definitely math was my question.
I mean, but yeah, it's like you have those people that can do that, and if you show me, I'm gonna respect you when you come in. Because I'm that like being in the military, I give the respect just because that's your position, that's your rank. I'm gonna give you that respect. But the moment you show me that you don't know what you're doing, right? You lose all my respect.
You lose
all
it. Yes,
all of it.
Yes, and I think just to kind of piggyback on, you know, her deleting those goals, similar situation. I've been working with a family probably going on a year. And the thing is, with dealing with, you know, the jobs that we have, we're out there in the field with these people. We're out there, you know, assessing constantly. And what I really can't stand about these agencies, I don't know, you know, what your agency is through, but it's so numbers driven. It's so graph driven. It's so, you know, that higher up is forgetting that we're out here. Obviously, we're in these fields because we have some type of. You have to have a passion for it. Yes, you have to have a passion for it. You have to have a purpose in dealing with these families and whatever you're doing. And so, for a agency to be so numbers driven and not on in my case, the victim, you know, the family, it's just really frustrating. It's really aggravating and discouraging. Disheartening because I got the opportunity to go to Dallas to do a human trafficking summit, and all those victims named our agency and pretty much was like, they did not help me. What are we here for if we're not helping these victims? If we're not helping the children, what's the point in us being here?
Like for us, this just happened a couple of weeks ago. I have a brand new client he'll be 3 tomorrow. I started with them 3 weeks ago, and I am supervising the case, and I have a therapist that works directly with the kid throughout the week. Okay. So normally the company policy is that as a supervisor, we need to be there during the first 2 days of the sessions to provide training, make sure everything's good. So with this particular, like, it's Medicaid insurance, and if anybody's watching with Medicaid, like, y'all need to make some changes because it's not good. So the session is 4 hours long. Okay, you good with math, right? Session is 4 hours long. As a supervisor, I can only overlap with the therapist for 1 hour.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So that means if I'm there, I can only bill for 1 hour while the therapist is there.
Okay.
Okay? So I also get a month. Well, throughout the week, I get 4 hours, okay? So I can go there 4 hours out the week.
Okay.
But I can only do an hour while the therapist is there. So I get 2 hours of parent training. I can do parent training with the parent while the therapist is there.
Okay.
So I email my supervisor and I'm like, hey, like how's training supposed to work if I'm only allowed to bill for 1 hour and the therapist is there for 4 hours? So that means 3 hours of unsupervised time during the first session. So I'm like, she tells me that, well, you can do an hour of supervision and then do an hour of parent training with the parent.
Okay.
And if the therapist needs you, you're still there.
Okay.
So I'm like, but still, that gives me 2 hours.
Yeah. So
Out of the 4 that the therapist is there. So that still means the therapist is there for 2 hours by themselves.
Right.
So luckily, the therapist that's working with the kid, she's been in the field for 6 years. So I asked her, I was like, this is the situation. How confident do you feel right now? And she was like, yeah, I feel fine. And it's like, but I still, I try to make sure that my therapists are good and everything, but it's still like, I feel bad. Because if it was me first time in the home, like say like I've been in the field a couple of years ago before becoming a supervisor, like how do you just leave somebody in the home for the first time, no training, nothing. But because Medicaid doesn't give us the extra time, the company isn't saying, okay, well, we'll provide that extra time, which I feel they should.
They should.
Because part of the issue that we've had is a lot of turnover where therapists are quitting because they're not getting training, they're promising hours that they can't keep. And so it's like, that's part of my biggest issue when it comes to the company that I'm with right now. So like I typically do, my goal is between like 15 to 20 hours a week. That's where I want to be at. So where I'm making what I want to make every week because we play weekly. So like that's where I need to be at to make my check. And so at first, last couple of episodes I told you like financially it's been an issue. And so people are like, well, just get a couple more clients for a couple more months and then like just do more hours until you can stack up. And I'm like, no, because if I do more than what I'm doing, it's gonna drain the hell out of me. I can't do it because of stuff like this. You got people deleting programs, people telling you to do only 2 hours of training, but yet company policy is that we need to be there for the whole session for the first 2. But yet y'all not providing that extra time, and y'all think that it's okay to just leave people in the home by themselves for the first time. So, what else on your mind? Because you got anything else on your mind?
I mean, I guess
good.
It's good. I guess what needs to happen with dealing with jobs that we deal with?
For me, have you thought about it for your job?
I have. It's like I want to go in there and just shake it up, but I'm only one person. And of course you talk amongst your colleagues and everything, and they have the same feelings you have, but no one is stepping to that.
I think like for me, I get a monthly disability check from the VA, so I kind of have a little flexibility when it comes to jobs. Like I've been at this job almost 2 years, and before that, like somebody you piss me off, I'm good. Like peace, I'm out. Like I got money in my savings, I'm good, and plus I got my other check coming in monthly, so I don't need this job. And I think a lot of people, a lot of companies, they think people need them.
Yes.
And it's like, nah, I don't need y'all. Like even with my company, like because I was gonna quit a couple months ago, and they offered me more money for my Medicaid cases. I'm like, I don't need the money. I need the hours. Like having more pay. I'm not gonna say no. I'm gonna take it, but I don't want them to think that I'm only taking it because I need the money. Like, baby, I can go find another job. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's the thing. We could go find. Now, this has been my issue. I don't know if I can find another job
making
what I make. But you know, I'd rather have peace than money. Yeah. But at the same time, what has kept me in my job is because I really do love working with my children.
Same here.
That is what has kept me, especially in this transition that we have with, you know, all new upper management, like literally all new. And so that is what's keeping me. But how long can you work for an agency that does not appreciate the work that you do for these families? I mean, the agency has so many children in care, and what I do is stop them from coming into care. Yeah. So basically, like I said, stabilizing the families. You're not appreciating that I'm helping you from getting more kids into care.
So when we talk about like the numbers and stuff, for y'all numbers, is it do they go off of how many kids that are in like CPS care, or is it like how many kids that are not
now in CPS that care? Is another part of, because it's a lot of different, you know, entities of the agency. So that's another part of it. I wouldn't know those numbers, but when it relates to my field, you know, we have to make sure we see our families within a time span. We have to make sure our family plans are within a time span. We have to make sure our documentation is within a time span. So, you know, numbers like that.
So it's not like they're not looking at the quality of the plan or the quality of the visits or anything like that. As long as you're hitting
as long as you're hitting. But see, that's the thing. They want the quality and they want the quantity. At one point we were stacked with cases. Yeah. Man, we were going in there, seeing the families, trying to get these plans out, and then they push them back like, you need to be more detailed. Give me some help. So that's just my issue. Like I said, that summit that I went to was just so. I work for the agency, I do. But the agency is failing in helping children. And I work for the agency. That's where my help comes from. But I have to be honest. Yeah. It's hard working for someone when our morals don't align.
So like with my company and like just overall what I do, when I first started, it wasn't as insurance driven. And then over the years, more and more companies, insurance companies started covering ADA. So it's like once they started covering it, then they can put in their requirements and things like that. But the issue is that a lot of people that work for these insurance companies don't know much about what we do. They probably don't know much about kids with autism, individuals with autism, but yet they're the ones that are creating the guidelines and restrictions and all of that when it comes to what they're going to cover and what they're not going to cover.
And that's the issue. How can you make a guideline and you have no idea? You have not ever stepped foot.
Like this was a couple of years ago, I had a client, we were working on brushing, teaching him how to brush his teeth. 19 years old at the time, didn't know how to brush his teeth on his own. For me, I think that's important to teach a kid how to brush their teeth on their own. So I put in the goal, and it's a list of steps to brushing teeth. And so like we're breaking it down into small steps, then teaching him one step at a time, and as he masters, move on to the next step. The goal, like when I did the report that gets submitted to insurance, it was like he's mastered this step. Insurance said, "Oh, well, we can reduce hours since he's mastering goals." I was like, the step that he was on was like maybe brush top front teeth for 20 seconds. And I was like, in my mind, I want to say like, let me call this person and ask them, do you brush only your top teeth for 20 seconds? Like, is that sufficient enough for you for them not to have rotten teeth in a couple of years? Like, is that okay? But it's like when they look at it, they're, like you said, they're only looking at the graph. Oh, this graph says 100%,
right.
so they must be good. So we're going to reduce ours. Right. But yet, with things like being able, like independently being able to dress themselves or certain things, they're looking at like, oh, that's an OT goal or this, that, and the other. And I'm like these kids are not able, or individuals are not able to function on their own. So what we're doing is helping them to be able to live as independently as possible. They may still need to be in a facility, they may still need care from their family or whatever it may be, but it takes just a little bit more off of the family. So like I work for, one of the companies I work for, we had the owner's son. When I first started at the company, a couple of years, like a year or so after I was working with for the company, I would sit for the owner's son. Like a couple of us would sit whenever they would go out or something like that, and we'll watch the son. And so there's like, for anybody that's watching this, part of the BACB or anything like that, this was before the ethics code. And what I'm going to say later, I'm going to explain it also, because you got to make sure you follow the ethics code and stuff like that.
You better.
So back then, we could sit with the clients. Then like that changed, and like if you worked with the client, you couldn't do anything with them outside of the sessions. So then I left the company. A year or so later, I went back to the company, and the owner was like, "Hey, since you're back, like, would you be interested in sitting with him?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I don't mind." So at that point, the ethics code had changed. So during the day, I could not work with him at the company. So I was never on his caseload. Well, he was never mine, whatever. I did not work with him, but I would sit with him outside of the sessions. So she went on vacation, and she was like, "I'll be out of town for a week. Would you be interested in staying at the house and watching him that week while I'm gone?" And so it was myself. I was watching over him, and then he has a younger brother, and another coworker was watching the younger brother. So like the four of us were there. So during that week, it's like I gained a different level of respect for families, because before I would go to work at 7:30, 8 o'clock. Kids come. I work with them throughout the day. Send their ass on home.
They go back home.
I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Bye.
But during that week, I was responsible for this human being who was not able to do everything for himself. He was not able to prepare his own meals. He could bathe himself, but I had to make sure he got in the tub. You know what I'm saying? I was making sure he getting dressed and all of that. And so after that week, I was like, it's a lot. And for a parent to have to deal with this every single day and not have time for themselves, I'm like, me as a professional, I want to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can for this kid so that they can live the best life that they can, but also make sure that the parent isn't having to do everything. But insurance companies make it to where we can't do that at all. So like the supervisor I was telling you about that deleted my plan, one of the things she responded to me when we went back and forth, she was like, we're combining the goals into the one broad goal would help with will make data collection easier. So like my response to her was, making data collection easier is not my focus.
No.
My focus is my client. If me putting in these individual goals means that I have to check 2, 3, 5 more extra graphs a month, that's fucking fine. But you're worried about reducing data? Like, clearly your priorities are mixed up. Because you're not focused on what the bigger picture is, which is trying to make this child more self-sufficient. Yes. Like there was one goal. Well, it was not a goal. It was like we have responses to certain behaviors, and so like a particular client would engage in maladaptive, like a dangerous behavior, so like banging his head. So I put in a response to that was to put the parents got a helmet to put on them. And so technically that's considered as a punishment procedure. And it's a lot. It's in ABA, punishment is anytime you add something following a behavior to reduce a behavior. That's considered as a punishment. So, so like she read the plan, and part of the plan it said, if he engages in the behavior, we want to put pillows, a pad, or something under his head to reduce like him hitting. He can still bang his head, but we're gonna put the pad in there so he doesn't hit the floor. But that wasn't working. That was not working. So we tried that for a couple of months. Wasn't working. Then the behavior was occurring more so outside of the session versus in the session. So the times when I needed to be there, I'm not there. So I needed to put something in that the family could do because they could not get down on the floor while he's rolling around trying to find a hard space and throwing a pillow or something under his head. Like one day he went into behavior while I was there, and I literally was on the floor, like laying on the floor. Anytime he go, I'm like this. He move over, I'm sliding over like all across the floor. So I'm like, the caregivers cannot do this. So I need to create a response for this that's going to work. Right. So that ended up being a punishment procedure because it was putting on the helmet. Within a couple of weeks, behavior started to reduce. So when she read it, she was like, "Well, you might want to delete that because we need to make sure we exhaust all the other options before we use a punishment procedure." I was like, "Look, this is why this punishment procedure is in here.
And it's helping.
And if you got an issue with it, then you need to take this plan over for yourself." But it's stuff like that because you don't even know the family, don't know the kid, but yet you got an opinion. Right. And it's like
And the thing about it is, in working with in these types of fields, it's going to be a lot of things that may go against the book. Yeah. You know, it's been so many cases that, you know, I've had to make professional decisions because, well, the family really was able to benefit from me doing this, you know? So I think in jobs like this, man, yes, it's a textbook. You can do the classes, you can do the training, but when you're really out there in it, it's no telling what
at all.
It's no telling what can come from, you know, working with these families. And because every family is different, every child is different, everything is just a difference. And so that's where I would want agencies and, you know, companies to, you know, gravitate to, hey, I know you know your job. I'm trusting in you knowing your job. I give you the grace to do what you see fit for your family on a case-by-case situation. Just come to me, let me know what you did so that, you know.
And it's like if it's something that's clearly going to harm the family or the individual, like, well, then we can talk about it. But there are certain things that if I feel that this is more beneficial for the client, for the family, then that's what I want to do. Right. That's what I feel is best for the client. And I think in my field, you know, the plans, we call them an individualized behavior plan. And we got into the point where it's not individualized. They're like, when I was telling you about the assessments and stuff. So you can look, like, let's say a goal in the assessment would be like a community goal, which is what I have one for my client, where it's like identifying community helpers. Some people will take that goal and say, Bobby will independently identify 6 community helpers. And it's literally what it says in the assessment. But what the assessment is saying is, can they do this? How we teach them is up to us. But these newer people that get in the field that have no experience, they don't know how to individualize it for the client. Like, I was working with two of my therapists that are with one particular client, and they're both great. But I'm a different type of supervisor than what they're used to. Because they're used to somebody saying, this is the goal, I want you to do the goal the way that I wrote it. I'm the type, this is the goal, figure out what's best for him. Figure out what's going to keep him engaged. Figure out how he's going to stick with it and learn these goals. So for the summer we're trying to get in more hours. And so one of the therapists, she started with him, and she was like, I don't know, he just seems like he's bored. I'm like, yeah, he's bored. He's doing the same stuff 5 days a week with 2 different people. So I'm like, yeah, he's bored. So I watched her with him, and I'm like, change it up, do something different. So I was like, step aside, like, let me work with him for a few minutes, and so you can see what I'm trying to get you to understand. But because they have these other supervisors who are, no, I want you to only do it this way. This is my way. This is the right way. But it's like, no, there's like, I don't know if you ever heard the term, you from the country, like there's more than one way to skin a cat or something like that.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
But that's how I am. Like, try something different.
Right.
And I would always tell my therapist, if I write a goal and you work on this goal, work on it for at least 3 to 5 days. Mm-hmm. After that third or fifth day, I come in, you say, hey, Jarrell, because they call me Jarrell in the office. Not Bob, they call me Jarrell. That's professional. I got to be professional in the office. They be like, hey, if I come in, I want them to be like, hey, Jarrell, I tried this goal. Mm-hmm. I did it the way that it was written. I did it the way that you trained me, but it's not working.
Yeah.
But then that's the next part of that I tell them. When you come to me and you say that, the next part is, I tried X, Y, and Z, and this worked better. Let me see it. If it works, we're going to change it. Yeah. It's that simple. Believe me, I'm not going to go in and delete your work. Yeah. I'm not going to do that because I'm a professional. Like, I know how to lead. I know how to supervise. And I think that's another thing,
Come on.
With me being an assistant behavior analyst, I feel like this particular supervisor came into our relationship with this idea of he's beneath me.
Your supervisor?
Yeah. And that's how, and I'll let you read some of the text messages. Like, what, do I have it in this phone? No, it's in my email. But it's like, the way it's like talking down to, where it's like, she would say things like, if you need me to explain it more to you during the next meeting, let me know. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I don't need you to explain it to me. I get what you're saying. Right. I'm trying to get you to understand why it doesn't work for this client. What you're saying is right.
That's
but it
another
doesn't
issue.
Work for this client.
That's another issue.
What is it?
These supervisors and these higher ups, don't let that power go to your head. Humble yourself. That's a word out there. Humble yourself.
Yeah.
Because don't talk to me as if I am fucking illiterate.
Yes.
Don't insult my intelligence. Because quiet as it's kept, I've been in the field doing this longer than you've been a supervisor. Or higher up than a supervisor. So, leave me alone.
So like back in, I think it was March, April, when I put in my notice with this, I had an issue with this particular supervisor, and I was like, I just can't do it. So she sends me an email, and she's like, I understand that remote management is not everyone's style, and I wish you the best. So I was like,
what?
I was like, I've been doing this job at that point like almost a year and a half. So I've been in this position as an analyst, as a supervisor, supervising 9 cases over the last however many months, supervising over at least 15 therapists. So I'm like, it's not about remote management. It's about me telling you all that's in administrative position that what you're asking me to do, because this was situational. I had a therapist that was going to start with a particular client, and the hours that the therapist was available didn't match with the hours that the family was available. Okay. Now, mind you, I've been with this family since 2020. I've gone to the family, the mom, at least 5 or 6 times saying, hey, would you be available to do 30 minutes before? Or would you be able to do 30 minutes after? She's like, no, I can't do it. Because she got 2 kids with autism, then she got a 3rd kid.
Wow.
So I'm like, and I'm trying to get them to understand that she's not wanting to do more hours because of all this that's going on. Then she got the kids in activities. The oldest son is doing sports and stuff like that. So I'm like, this woman is tired.
Yes.
So it's like, but y'all want me to keep asking her over and over when I'm telling y'all she already said no. After the 5th time she said no, I'm like, I'm not asking her again. Right. And I understand why she's saying no. So she was like, it's the least that we could do. I was like, bitch, have you been, and mind you, at this point, she had just got into the position of the senior analyst. So I'm like, you haven't been in this position. You haven't been in the family's home. Right. You haven't talked to them to tell me the least that I should do? I was like, you know what? This ain't gonna work for me. So I went off. And I told her, I said, look, And like she dismissed me, right? I said your response was a little belittling and dismissive. And I was like, as my supervisor, if you aren't able to provide the supervision that I need, I will take my concerns elsewhere. She's like, oh no, I didn't mean it to be that way. I'm like, but that's how it came across.
Right.
Regardless of what you meant,
right.
That is how it came across. And like when I talked to, I don't know if I said it on here, but like I told them the other week that I'm like I need to be off of her cases, and so they asked me, they was like, do I think that communicating through email could have been the issue? And I was like, no. I said, no, that ain't the issue because I had a phone conversation with her. And we had a back and forth in the phone conversation that I thought she comprehended what I said. And clearly she did not comprehend because once another issue came up, it was like that conversation was out the window. Yeah. So I was like, no, this bitch has an issue. And now I have an issue with her. So it's like, I'm at that point now where you never seen me mad before, right? Like how did you perceive me when you first met me when we met at the stage play?
I felt like because we were in a space of doing a play. I felt like you were really serious about what you do. You're serious and you're passionate about whatever you're doing at that moment. That's what I gathered from you. Because we were in the play, that's what I gathered. Now, outside of, you're still passionate.
Yeah.
You still...
And that's the thing. That is how I am. Like, that's...
But I've never seen you mad.
Never seen me mad. And even in that situation with the play, I didn't leave the play because of how I was treated. I left the play because of how someone else was treated. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. The one that was your assistant in the play.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Because there was one day where this lady told this girl, like me and this girl, she called me one day, like just to go over some stuff. And so I was like, okay, let's go over this one scene. Because the lady told her, she was like, I don't know, I just don't like it. Like, you're not giving me what I want. And I'm just like... But
she was like that with a lot of people.
Yes, and that was my issue.
Including myself.
And that was my biggest... Like, because she never came to me and said... That was only the very first day she said something off the wall to me. And I was like, I'm not going to get mad about it. But like, she didn't have an issue with my performance at all. Like, she acted like she liked me. But it was like, I'm not going to be in an environment where you can talk to other people and be disrespectful to them. And if I'm staying in this environment, that means I'm condoning what you're doing. And I don't. Because like, she told the girl, she was like, basically, she was like, you're not good. I don't like you. And I don't think that you're going to be good for this part. She's like, but I'll give you a chance. So she was like, the next rehearsal, I want to see you do this scene, and if it's not better, then I need to find somebody else. And so me and the girl, like, we met, we talked on the phone a couple times, and we went through the scene several times. We even met early one day for rehearsal and went over the scene in the parking lot.
I remember that.
So we got on stage and we went through it. She was like, well, okay, that's better. Let me see something else. And I was like, that's not what you told her.
Right.
You told her you wanted to see this scene.
Right.
If you wanted to see something else, I would have worked with her on something else as well. And so like I think she ended up changing her to another part, which I think she added that part for her, right?
She added that part.
So
it's like, if I remember correctly, it's like she saw her in a certain type of...
Yes! It was almost like a jealous way.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Bruh. That's sad. Yeah. That is sad. Like,
and I was
like, were you picked on in school or something? And like by the popular kids, and like now you want to be mad at this girl for no reason?
For no reason.
Bruh, and at that point I was like, and mind you, like what I do, I always try to be professional. Like anything that I'm doing, I'm going to be professional.
Respectful.
I talked to her and I had a conversation with her and I was like, this is how I feel. This is an issue for me. I can't get down with it. And then once it happened again, I was like, I'm done. Right. And it wasn't about me.
Right.
So like even in that situation, I didn't get mad.
But it was a lot of people that left.
Yeah. So. Always. Like if you talk to anybody that's done shows with her over the years, it's almost like the same horror story. But I guess I asked that because I try my best to be professional. And it's rare that I get mad. But once I get mad, like there's no filter.
Yeah.
There's no filter. And like There's no filter. There's like no filter at all. And it's like I try my best not to get to that point. So like with this particular supervisor, I was talking to one of my coworkers, another analyst, and she was like, well, maybe you can set a meeting with her and have one of the regional coordinators there also.
But you know what, Bobby?
What's that?
Jarrell, I am tired of having to set up meetings, having to set up phone conversations with adults.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in a professional...
But look, I told her, I said, no. I said, because at this point, I've been professional. This isn't the first issue that I've had with this particular person. When I agreed to stay with the company, it was because I was going to be taking on more Medicaid clients. And I was told by a regional coordinator that with Medicaid, either she or somebody else will be over my cases, not this particular person. And so once this person started reviewing the case, I was like, I'm not gonna get upset yet, because technically we haven't moved over to Medicaid yet. She's just approving it to go to Medicaid for approval. So I'm like, I'm giving her the opportunity. But once that happened, I was like, this is this my only warning. This is my only option, because outside next, you're not getting 3 strikes. You're not getting 3 strikes. After these 2 right here, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. But that's it. That's what's on my mind. Ooh. Hopefully y'all was able to follow that, get y'all some drinks and chop along with us. Cause
look, put it in the comment what's on your mind. If you having an issue at work with, you know, whatever company you work with a supervisor, with a coworker, put it in the chat. Well,
you know what?
In the
comments. If you're on Instagram, tag them hoes. And tell them to meet you outside. Tell them meet me outside.
Shit.
Cause I'll be like, you know what? Like I'm gonna wait till we're having a clock out time. But like with this particular person, like even the next time we do, I'm in my mind I'm already planning it. Like the next time we have an in-person roundtable meeting, she better not say nothing to me, bro.
Oh,
she better not say nothing to me. And it's like I try not to do that because like I don't want to be the angry black guy. I don't want to be the unprofessional one. I don't want to be that. But it's like the fact that I've been professional, I've tried to communicate, I've done my job. If you talk to, like, you know, I know we're wrapping up, but I met with a family, the client I just told you I started with 3 weeks ago. I talked to the mom like a week or so before on the phone, and she was like, well, the client's very to himself, like he doesn't really engage with a lot of people a lot of times. So like if he likes you, he'll play around you, but he won't interact with you. He won't engage with you until he gets to know you a lot better. First day, within the 5 minutes that I was there, the little boy come running up to me. I'm holding him. He's swinging him in my arm and stuff like that. The caregiver was like, he's not even like that with me. And I'm like, and I told her, I said, I don't know. I just have a calling. Like that's what I'm put on this earth to do. That's what I'm put on this earth to do, is to give back to these kids and these families. And even like another client, it was the same thing. And I have like one family now, like the parents always saying, like, I don't know where we would be without Jarrell. And I accept that and I receive that. So when I deal with people in my company that are telling me that what I'm doing, that they don't agree with what I'm doing, I'm like, ask the families. Ask the families how they feel. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah.
Look, I had to say that at one point in a meeting. I said, look, I've had cases read all the way up to state office, and I have never had an issue with them being able to identify the safety and the risk, because I am able to secure all of them.
Here's the problem.
Make sure these kids are safe, because this is what I do.
Exactly.
My families are my purpose. I know I come from we not the best family. But I come from a good, loving, stable family. And I just want other children to be able to have that in some kind of way.
They deserve it.
And be safe. Because these kids, it's fucking, it's war for our kids. These parents ain't shit, and they're letting these kids get involved in so many things, and they're not protecting them, they're not keeping them safe, and something needs to be done.
And it's like a generational thing, because the parents probably were in situations where they weren't safe and they were just put in the situation. So it just keeps on.
We need to break that cycle.
Yeah. And it starts with breaking these cycles in these companies of horrible management and horrible leadership. So, but anyway, is there any more shit on your mind?
I'm done shit talking. I'm done.
All right.
I still need my job though.
Me too, but if y'all won't fire me, podcast. Collect me some unemployment.
Look, I
But anyway, we got to get out of here on this episode. So I'm Bobby Jarrell. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Bobby Jarrell. Follow me on Twitter at Coach Bobby _BCS. And also I'm doing my life coaching business. If you're interested in receiving life coaching, hit me up. Any of the social medias will be fine. It's Behavioral Coaching Solutions. And yeah, what about you?
You can catch me on Instagram _living+_. You can catch me on Facebook, Marthea Harris, MARTHEA Harris, and TikTok is Marthea Harris as well.
Cool. All right, so until next time, guys, we're out. Make sure y'all like. I said we're out, but I didn't. I should have said that before. So I said we're out.
Make sure you like
before we go. Yeah, make sure you
subscribe.
Yeah,
and we'll
do
see
all those
you
things
on another episode.
And now we are out.